You say tomato, I say tomato. Well, I really don't. I say tomato. But I've heard it either Knott's Berry Farm or the way that I like it, Knott's Berry Farm, located in Buena Park, California. This is Clay with the Pennsylvania Roller Coaster Club, and we're going to take a look at the roller coaster lineup and rank it from worst to first. So, let's dive in. Back at the beginning of 2024, Kristen and I had taken a trip to Southern California and had an opportunity to visit SeaWorld San Diego and Six Flags Magic Mountain. But we also had 2 days to be able to spend at Knott's Berry Farm. And boy, I gotta tell you, we were pretty impressed. In terms of overall feel, it is definitely the best themed and most immersive experience in the former Cedar Fair chain. And now with Six Flags Entertainment Corporation, I would have to assume that this is still going to be the theming crown jewel. But in the end, I know we're all here to rank the coasters. But before we do, guys, if you could please consider subscribing to the channel, it would go a long way to help and support us as we try to grow this channel to reach our 1,000 subscriber goal. That way, more of our material and content can be put out for other coaster lovers like yourself. So please, subscribe today. It costs you absolutely nothing. But, starting off at number 10, and we're going to keep it at number 10, considering that it is an SBNO. Or, as I like to call it, a Top Thrill 2 / Steel Curtain Special. And let's be honest, we have no clue what's going to happen with Montezuma's Revenge. It was promised that it was going to be refurbed, and then those plans have just kind of fizzled. We haven't heard any real news. So let's talk about the rides that are here and running. Starting off with number 9, Snoopy's Tender Paw Twister. Now, admittedly, we did not get an opportunity to ride this ride. It was not open yet. It was still under construction, and, when we get back there in the coming months, we will definitely nab this credit, even if I look completely ridiculous doing so, because, let's face it, I'm that guy. If I haven't ridden it at least once, there's a good chance you're going to catch me looking like a complete jackass riding a kid's coaster, but I promise, it'll only be once. But yeah, I think it's a great fit for the park. The park really needed a true kids coaster that is smooth and comfy. Mission accomplished. Moving on, number 8, Jaguar. Now, this Zero family coaster is it's kind of similar to what you get at the Nickelodeon park in Minneapolis. They have an indoor, I believe it's called the Pepsi Orange Streak or something along those lines. It's that type of, like a Tivoli coaster. This may even be considered one of the early Force models. To be perfectly honest, I'm not 100% sure. I don't claim to be a family coaster expert. Really, I don't claim to be any type of expert. Just a, dumb, ridiculous guy that travels to a whole bunch of places to ride roller coasters because, I don't know, it seemed like a good idea when I decided to do it. But yeah, Jaguar, it's a pretty cool ride. Now, if you're bigger, tough to fit into, but fits the bill. Number 7, Coast Rider. Now, I know that this ride gets quite a bit of hate from the enthusiast community because of the restraints, the completely unnecessary restraints. And yeah, they are completely unnecessary. But I don't know how drastically uncomfortable they are comparatively to just a standard Wild Mouse restraint. I don't know. It didn't bother me as much on this ride as it does putting it on, I don't know, a ride that actually provides good forces that I'm missing out on. But, I don't think that those little anklets or shin pads, whatever you want to call them. I don't know if it really impedes anything. It's just a wild mouse. And for what it is, the scenery is awesome. But moving on. Number 6, Sierra Sidewinder. Now, I know that some people might critique me for having this ride this low, but hear me out. And this is probably more my fault than anyone else's. I had been under the impression that this was going to be a little more than the run-of-the-mill, off-the-shelf mock rides family spinner. So maybe that's on me. My expectations were a little bit higher. And not to say that it is a bad ride, it actually is a very good, high-quality ride, and it's very smooth. And I understand why families absolutely love this. But it's just not exactly what I was expecting. But make no mistake about it, this ride is critical to the roller coaster lineup at Knott's. Without Sierra Sidewinder, they would have an enormous gap for a family-friendly coaster and also a spinning coaster. So, yeah, it's a home run. Wish it could be higher. Number 5, Pony Express. Now, again, this might be a little controversial that I would put Pony Express above Sierra Sidewinder. Now, this is one that I had been on other versions and other models of this ride from Zamperla, but I thought this one was better than the previous installations that I'd been on. This actually has a little bit more of a sprawling layout, a little more of an out and back element to it. Whereas the previous iterations of this style of ride from Zamperla, it was extremely compact, and some of the transitions and turns were a little tighter and a little more janky than what you would expect out of a good family coaster. Whereas I think there's really not many bad parts to Pony Express. If I had to give it one knock, it would be that it is pretty darn short, but a good ride. Moving on though, number 4, Silver Bullet. This ride, I think people were either they give it no respect or they give it too much respect. I don't see too many people that kind of fall in the middle on Silver Bullet. And I'm going to take the road less traveled, and I'm kind of going in the middle here. So even in terms of B&M inverts and how it stacks up against others, it has arguably the worst first drop of any coaster, and perhaps the middle of the layout is one of the more less unique. However, the uniqueness of what that first drop does in the beginning of the ride and how it takes you through the first part of the layout, and then your finale is exceptional. It's kind of hard to judge it. So I don't think it's elite, but I don't think it's bottom of the barrel, but I do think it's good. Moving on to number 3, Ghost Rider. Now, I talked a little bit earlier about having a few negative impressions on this park. Let's talk Ghost Rider. So, the park did not announce maintenance for this ride. So yes, in the same trip that I missed X2 because of maintenance, I also missed Ghost Rider, which was probably my most anticipated credit in the entire state of California. So, watching this train run empty, it was driving me nuts. They kept testing and testing and testing, but they wouldn't put anyone on it. So, you know, what are you going to do there? You win some, you lose some. I am going to go back, I am going to ride it, but even with all the acclaim, I can't very well put it any higher than 3. Moving on to number 2, Accelerator. Now, this is a ride that, don't get me wrong, I do like, but I think it's thought of and spoke of a little too highly within the roller coaster enthusiast community. And what I mean by that is, after that top hat, essentially the ride is over. Besides some outer turns and what have you, and the ride is pretty much over. It is a complete one-trick pony. Coming from Pennsylvania, where we have Storm Runner at Hershey Park, which, might I add, I believe is the most complete version of the accelerator coasters, it was hard to not be a little underwhelmed, but I will say that having anything after that top hat does make Accelerator an overall win, just not as elite as some people make it out to be. But number one, definitely Hang Time. I don't know why this ride is not spoke of more. Often when we speak of Gerstlauer in America, we speak of Gerstlauer in terms of monster. And what do I mean by that? Well, the monster at Adventureland in Iowa is widely considered, and for my 2 cents, it is the best Gerstlauer in America. But I don't think that Hang Time is too far behind the monster. So, Hang Time definitely offers better capacity, which is required being in a bigger park. But really, the lighting package, the location on the midway, this is a magical experience at night. One of my favorite night rides in all of America. It is really hard to hang with Hang Time at night. Guys, if you enjoy content like this, again, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Get notifications as to when we upload new content. We have a lot of stuff planned for the end of 2024 and even bigger things planned for 2025 that we would love for each and every one of you to be a part of. So please drop a like for the video, subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell, all of that good stuff. That is going to do it for us here today. Leave a comment down below what you think of the rankings. Do you agree? Where am I going to put Ghost Rider once I ride it? Till next time, guys, we'll see you out there.